And depending on the municipality that you're in, you might see $2,000 to $3,000 a month in rent for these units, and that would definitely service a mortgage, and they pay their own utilities generally, so it can be a big win from day one. So even if you're financing the whole thing, you can make money on these ADUs the day after the construction is complete.
Hi, my name is Maud Léger, business owner and marketing expert for all things real estate. And I'm on a mission to empower realtors with cutting-edge insights, success stories, and actionable strategies from the top minds in real estate. Welcome back to Sold Right Away. If you're ready to stand out, scale up, and win in real estate, you're in the right place. Today's episode is a little different. I've brought on Jonathan Jagt from Frontier Building Group, a leader in the renovation industry who's helping realtors and homeowners see properties in a whole new way. We talked about how realtors can build deeper trust and long-term value with their clients through renovation insights, and how homeowners can unlock hidden equity through additions, garage conversions, ADUs, and multi-generational living spaces. If you've ever wondered how to help your clients or yourself or your investors tap into their home's true potential and turn square footage into opportunities, this episode is packed with real estate stories and strategies you won't want to miss. Let's get to my chat with Jonathan. Hi, Jonathan. Thanks for joining us on the podcast today. Tell us, how did you arrive to home building and renovations?
Hey, Maud. Yeah, thanks for having me. This is great. Love it. I've been in this industry for a long time now. So I started this business, Frontier Building Group, back in 2007. So we're rounding the corner to 20 years in business now. So, and of course, the company has taken a lot of different renditions and versions as we've grown. I was a 20-year-old when I started the company. So of course, it's a lot different now as, almost 40 at this point. And the company has definitely taken a lot of different twists and turns to get to where it is. But we really love, like, our whole thing has always been, coming up with unique solutions to complex problems. So a lot of people have interesting things going on, and everybody's life is so custom and interesting, and everybody's got a special situation. And I really love being a problem solver and helping to solve different issues for people. So whether that was, it started with our roots in the outdoor spaces. We did a lot of, deck building and backyard kind of environments that we used to do a lot more of that. And then in the later years, more transitioning towards, whole home remodeling, additions, renovations, and now we do accessory dwelling units, and we're starting to dabble into some new home building. It'll be coming in the next year or two as well. Some pretty exciting stuff. So.
Nice, exciting. We're going to talk about that because it's really important for realtors. But first, let's talk a little bit more about what are you personally, the owner of the company, what are you really good at?
What am I really good at? Well, I love business strategy, and I love building unique businesses and building processes inside of the business. So I do have a couple of other businesses. So speaking to your real estate crowd, I do a bit of real estate investing myself and do a little bit of property development as well. So we're kind of doing all of those things outside of this company. But I really love just strategy, coming up with solutions. And I really love meeting homeowners and finding out about their unique situation and what makes their problem special, and, helping their family live a more interesting, more comfortable life that suits their personal needs. So that kind of stuff is really interesting to me. Like, we have a really complex case right now of a person who needs a whole home remodel. Budget's tight, as it always is in construction, and she's got kids that are involved, and a lot of space, but not a lot of money, and some interesting problems to solve. So those kinds of things, as challenging as they are, that's really where my sweet spot is. I also really love developing my team. I work with some awesome people, and I really like to help them to advance their careers and kind of learn and grow as well. So.
Nice. Oh, I love it. I love it. So you're the problem solver. You love learning and growing and building your team and building homes and renovation. So what would be the one skill or value added that Frontier as a company brings to the homeowner?
Well, we've always said, like, it's on our strategic plan to come up with, to smooth out the road bumps that are inside of this industry. So the construction industry, unfortunately, has a pretty well-deserved reputation of a lot of road bumps, a lot of hurdles for builders and construction guys to work through, and we're trying to break those stereotypes and some of those reputation issues that have existed. So our company is positioning ourselves to be full service design build. We work really closely with homeowners and other consultants, engineers and planners, and all these different people that help us to so the experience of a home renovation or addition or ADU is smoothed out as much as possible, and the experience is as pleasant as it can be for a homeowner. I mean, it's never perfect. There's always things that go wrong, and nothing ever goes exactly to plan. But our job is to make sure that we're the one touch point, the responsible party for homeowners, that their entire experience is kind of through one contact. They're not talking to 5 or 6 different people and getting different stories and a bunch of change orders and charges and stuff like that. And our job is to try to be the medium between that, as well as being their builder. So we really hold their hand all the way through the process. And honestly, a lot of our customers turn into our friends long term. So I'm really proud of that fact, is that a lot of our customers are repeat customers that we just kind of keep doing work over and over for as they kind of grow their own personal situations. So
I love it. I love it. Very cool. So in terms of a company, what is the key to your success for Frontier Building Group?
More and more, it feels like just like constantly sticking to it, right? So we have really well-defined core values. Our core values are clear and well articulated to our team, to the partners that we work with, whether that's a subcontractor or consultant. And then our customers also know what our core values are, and we live those through and through. And if we ever have to make a decision, and sometimes we have to make hard decisions about how to move forward with something, those hard decisions are always guided by the core principles, core values that we've set as a company, and we've lived those core values pretty heavy. And I think that's really our competitive advantage. We always know where the North Star is for us, and we always are guided by what we think is right.
All right, then I'm going to quiz you and tell us, what are your core values?
That's a great question. And if I didn't know this, my staff would give me a really hard time. But luckily, I do know them because I wrote them, so I'm quite fond of them. So.
Okay, good.
Our first one is, we're pretty a direct company, so we talk really directly to people. So our first one is, talk is cheap, actions are what matter. So we make sure that we walk the walk when we talk the talk. So that's a big one for us. One that's really important to us for our employees and our personal development is that we always reciprocate loyalty. So if there's loyalty from our team, from a subcontractor, from a consultant, we like to make sure that loyalty is reciprocated. And we'd like to make sure that every relationship is a reciprocal relationship. There's a give and take with everything. The same is true for our clients. And there's reciprocal relationships inside of there as well. So talk is cheap, actions are what matter. We reciprocate loyalty. We care about our team and their success. So what that is really talking about is always building up our team and helping them to develop themselves professionally and personally. So that's what that one's all about. And we grow, mentor, and thrive so that our grow, mentor, and learn so our stakeholders thrive. So as a company, the more that we learn, the more that we develop, the better all of our stakeholders can do in their lives, which is, stakeholders include people like me, the shareholders of the company, but also our customers and our employees are stakeholders in the success of our company. Our success is their success. So we want to make sure that we all grow and mentor and so that all of us can thrive together. The better we are as a company, the better the experience with the customer too. So
Love it. Very cool. Okay.
Well, we always do the right thing, not the easy thing. That's one that I missed almost. We do what's right, not what's easy. So
yes, which is always, the easier comes faster than the right sometimes.
That's right.
And that adds value to your company a lot.
100%.
Nice. So let's talk about realtors quickly, since we're targeting to realtors here in
Hey, realtors.
Yay. So realtors, they work with homeowners. Very often I hear from realtors that the homeowners are looking to buy a house to move up, let's say, into the world of like a bigger house or a bigger land, but sometimes it's not affordable. Another option that we can talk about is using equity that they would have built in their house for having bought a house like, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and to get a renovation or an addition done. So let's talk about this aspect of your business, how you help homeowners do that.
Yeah, I think, realtors they want people to move. That's what you guys want, is for people to move locations. But I mean, really what you're looking for in the real estate business is relationships. And I've heard so many people on your podcast mode speak about the importance of relationships with people.
Yes.
And really, I mean, if you can serve one customer super, super well, you're going to earn referrals. You're going to earn more business from that one customer. So, hey, by the way, I love when people move too, because when they move, they generally have work to do on their house. So from a business sense, it makes sense because everybody wants to renovate. But sometimes you're right. The best thing for a homeowner to do is just to renovate the space that they're currently in. And that might be what's best serving them. And that can often be, like you mentioned, unlocking unused potential in their home equity. And if you bought your house maybe during COVID days, the big C days, you probably don't have a ton of equity in your house. But if you own it from before that, you probably do have some unlocked equity in your house. And instead of there's a bunch of land transfer taxes and a bunch of fees that you pay when you do move, maybe some of that money can be funneled into a home renovation. And we can help people unlock that. Like, first of all, my brother, who is a sales and marketing manager here at Frontier, is a real estate agent as well. And he understands the real estate market in our geographic playground of this area. And he can help to kind of give people an idea of, where their home value may or may not be. And at least in the early parts of those conversations, kind of consult with them and talk about how much equity may or may not be in the house. And if what they're trying to do is achievable through a home equity loan, and that home equity, we also line up with partners. We have mortgage brokers that we can refer if your bank in particular isn't interested in doing home equity lines of credit or something like that. Then we have mortgage brokers that we work with that can help you unlock some of that money. Hopefully, the lower interest rates, you have lots of equity in your credit grid and everything, and it's a pretty simple process to unlock some of that money, and that money can be used to enhance the space that you're in without having to go through the pain of moving.
Love it. Love it. Another aspect, I guess, for realtors to know would be when they're viewing a property with a buyer, what can they look for in terms of like renovations to be done, if it needs, or what are warning signs? How would you guide a realtor through that?
Well, we always recommend using the professionals for the job. So there are home inspectors for a reason. I think that every property that you are trying to buy or sell should always go through a home inspection process and make sure that the home inspector agrees that certain work can be done. The other thing that you could use, you could call a company like mine, and we have people that work with us that can help evaluate a property before you purchase it to decide whether or not the work that you want to do to it is even feasible to do. That's a big one. We have a lot of regulatory authorities now. In our area, we have the Long Point Regional Conservation Authority. We also work with the Halton Regional Conservation Authority, Grand River, Niagara Peninsula. So there's all these environmental authorities. Plus, we're also really close to the Six Nations on the Grand Reserve. And there's a lot of different archaeological things that could come up, or land claim disputes that could come up. And we want to make sure we catch those things before you make an investment and you realize that you can't do the thing you want to do. So a call to somebody like my company early is often a good idea. So after you've spoken to the home inspector and he says that it's a structurally sound property and the things you want to do are possible, you want to call somebody like us that we understand all the ins and outs, maybe even like things like water service and sewer service and electrical service. Is the HVAC system big enough to support the work you want to do? Because you take out walls and it changes how the HVAC system in the house can work. So those conversations are best had with a professional, and I believe we're those professionals that can help you out.
Yeah, nice. Amazing. So you would go with a realtor and a buyer to see a property, give them a quick estimate or pre-estimate to start the pre-planning of a potential renovation.
Yeah, myself or Chris or Karen, we could go out and meet with you if you're doing a walkthrough on a house and you wanted to kind of just get a feel for whether or not it would be suitable for a certain renovation. We'd be super happy to walk you through that. If you wanted us to be there in person and take a look, that's great. But photos, videos, Zoom calls, things like that. We're really tech savvy people. We're young and hip. We got it all figured out, so we can help you guys.
I love it. That's awesome. Okay, and then big topic right now: ADUs, additional dwelling units. What the scenarios that I'm hearing is parents that have a bigger land, they want to add property on their land, so because the adult children cannot buy a house in the current market. And it's also a potential long-term plan so that they can switch. The parent can move to the smaller ADUs, and the young adult, as they grow their family, they can continue to live in the family home.
Yeah.
So tell us about ADUs. Do you do them? How do you do them? Everything you know about ADUs.
Yeah, we do ADUs. We love it. We think it's a great, and not so much talking about my company, but just about the reasons why you'd want to do an ADU. I mean, some of the ones you mentioned are really important. There's so many reasons why they can make sense for not everybody, but they can make sense in some cases. But the main use case that we're seeing for them, is like you said, is multi-generational living on the same property. So yes, there's investment opportunities. I think that's a great vertical to rent out a space in the backyard that you're not using or is underused and create investment income from the property. It also increases the property value. So the banks are actually seeing them as assets on the property now and not like just as like a garage or something. So it's really nice to use an unused space and create some income from it. But multi-generational living is kind of where the bread and butter of ADUs, and they're also called in-law suites or garden suites or ARDUs, or there's a bunch of different SDUs. There's a bunch of different words people use for them, but I think the most common word is ADU at this point, accessory dwelling unit. And it basically just means a second living unit within one property. So those could be a finished basement that is legally separated into a second unit, and that could be an ADU. It could be an addition that you put on the house, and that addition is specifically built for an accessory dwelling unit, for a second living unit. We've done some garage conversions, and they can be attached garages where they're like incorporated into the house, and we want to take that attached garage and turn it into a living unit. And we've done detached garages where they are separate garages that are not attached to the house, and we can make those secondary living units. Or we could build purpose-built detached units, which we've done as well, as purpose-built detached units in the backyard or anywhere on the property that might suit, any reason why you'd want to do an ADU. And like I said, the main one is for multi-generational living. And the most common scenario we're actually seeing is that the kids own a house. The kids actually generally own the house, the main house, and maybe mom and dad, maybe there's a death of mom or dad, and they're just a widower left, and they're by themselves, and maybe they want to move back to be closer to the grandkids, or maybe there's not a death, and there's just the grandparents are in these big houses that they raise their family in, and they're finding themselves, I have 3,000 square feet that we're not using 2,000 square feet of, so we may as well sell this, maybe give the kids a bit of an early inheritance, and invest some of that money into an ADU. And they live on the property, and they support the, maybe the younger kid, their children, which are adult children that have kids of their own. So they're able to support by maybe some rental payments to them to help make affordability a lot easier in this climate. I mean, affordability for mortgages is ridiculous already. Yeah. Or even just support by taking care of the kids or helping out around the house or taking care of the lawn and things like that. So we're seeing lots of times where grandparents are stepping in and really helping out. And it's better than having them living in your space where they're, you can't get away from them or anything. It's like a separate space where they can everybody kind of lives their own life, but they're close. It's really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like not everybody wants to live with their in-law, but to build something that's an addition, a garage conversion, or a separate building on the land, this is phenomenal for multi-generational, for long-term future plans, equity build, like you said. These are really great points.
Yeah, and they're low maintenance, small spaces, so easy to keep clean. Repairs are cheap because they're small spaces. Upfront cost is affordable depending on what you're looking to build. So there's a lot of big wins there.
Yeah, love it. So you talked about a few different things very briefly, but let's say we move on to garage conversion. Somebody has a garage. What does that look like? What are ideas you can give people that may need or may want a garage conversion?
Yeah, they can check out the website that we have too, and some of our socials and stuff. We have lots of stuff on there and ideas that people can kind of get an idea of what they're looking for. But the garage kind of falls into two kind of sections, which is it an attached garage? I'm looking across the road from my office here, and these guys have a 2-car garage that's across the road that they've talked to me already about converting for their in-laws. And we'd have to do some fire separation, and there's some electrical and some water and HVAC considerations that we'd have to bring into the garage because a lot of people want these things separately metered, and in some cases it's required. So you put in a second hydro service. Whoever lives in the garage, whether that's a family member or you're renting it out, they're paying their own utility bills. You're just basically sharing the space. So the attached garage conversions can be really nice because it's separate entrance from the front of the house. You can put in a front door, you take out the garage door, you put up a wall with a window and a door, and there's a separate entrance from the house to their unit. And it's separate from your unit, or you put in a side door and come into the property from that way. And the other alternative from the attached version is the detached garages, which is pretty standard. I mean, it's basically, if it's underutilized and you're not really, it's just collecting your junk, and you got this old Skidoo in there from whatever, we can get rid of that. We can gut the place. We can bring over some new plumbing and electrical services over to the unit and deck it all out for you for, we fit, some of them are 2 or 3 bedrooms in a secondary dwelling unit in a detached garage. So lofts with offices, really, really nice spaces. And then you can fence off those areas and they can be almost separate properties within your property. So really, really nice.
I love it. Love it. Very cool. The other thing you mentioned was that bringing rental revenue to help reduce the cost of the mortgage. What scenarios or what examples do you have that people have done that?
Well, real estate agents that we're speaking to on this podcast, they understand per 100,000 what the rental income, what the mortgage servicing on $100,000 is, or per $100,000. Well, these units can be somewhere in the, you can get units that are 150 grand, but you can go all the way up to 300,000 or 400,000 depending on what you want to do. The bigger the unit, the more expensive it's going to be, but the more rental income that it can bring. So the rental income definitely day one can service a mortgage if you can qualify for the additional mortgage, or you might be mortgage free. I think a lot of people want to live in these units because it's not in an apartment building and they don't have a big property that they also have to maintain. So renters are looking for lower maintenance. They're not super small spaces. There's some apartments, people that have been for family members and things like that, for apartments that are 600-700 square feet, and that's what they're living in. And we can do ADUs up to 880 square feet. So we can really build big units, which can bring in big rent. And depending on the municipality that you're in, you might see $2,000 to $3,000 a month in rent for these units, and that would definitely service a mortgage, and they pay their own utilities generally, so it can be a big win from day one. So even if you're financing the whole thing, you can make money on these ADUs the day after the construction is complete. So you have to upfront some costs, but once you start renting it out, you can really start making income from that right away.
Nice. Yeah. I love it. This is so cool.
It is cool.
Very cool. Walk us through scenarios or real stories of real clients that have hired you to do full renovations and what the benefits they got, and then ADU, same thing.
I'll give you one of each. How about that? So
okay, let's do it.
We had a really great family approach us last year that have 2 young kids. It was a 3-bedroom house, and the kids were growing up. They had an 8-year-old and maybe a 5 or 6-year-old. They're getting older and they're taking up more space. They take up more space for a little while until maybe they start driving and they start moving out. But even then, I think they take up a lot of space too. So anyways, this family decided to put an addition on. The bedrooms were really, really small. They were 8 by 10 bedrooms, 80 square foot bedrooms, very small for the kids. Fine, but really not a lot of room. Very little closet space. Their master bedroom was also really small. The basement was finished previously, but really poorly. And the family, they were collectors of we're all like kids at heart, really. So they had model Marvel figurines and movies and all this stuff in there. It's really, really quite cool. He's got a cool collection of that stuff. So anyways, we were hired to do a complete home renovation. So we gutted the entire house. The family moved out for the 4 or 5 months that it took us to do this renovation. They moved out in with their in-laws for a few months. They're both in the education industry. So we did this during the months where they weren't quite so busy at work. And we put a big, I forget the exact size of the addition. I think it was about 850 square foot addition that we did. That was a main floor and basement additions. The main floor the addition turned into the master bedroom and the walk-in closet, master bath, and then also 2 kids' bedrooms over there. And we converted the kids' bedrooms into one big family bathroom in the middle. And then the kitchen that was kind of squared off and walled off from the house, we moved it to a completely different area of the house that's overlooking their big backyard. And so now the kitchen has windows above the cabinet, like beside the cabinets. And when she's washing the dishes, they're overlooking the backyard instead of at the front of cabinets, which is really nice. And then the basement got completely made over. The rec room got completely made over. So really great investment. The family has been thrilled with the results, and they're able to enjoy the space just a lot more. And they actually did a real thorough analysis of whether it made sense for them to do this work or to move. And part of our process when we were working with them on the sales side of things was to say, have you just considered moving? Because this is a big project. You're going to be kicked out of your house for 5 or 6 months. And there's it's expensive and it's messy and it's all this permits and, you deal with contractors and it could be a real headache. Have you considered just call your real estate agent, sell this house and move to a new house? And they said, no, we hadn't done that work yet. So we gave them a few weeks to go and do that. So they called their real estate agent and walked through a whole bunch of houses in there. They wanted to stay in that area because the school catchment, and it was a nice walkable neighborhood, and it was near, near town that was nice and easy to access everything. So they wanted to stay in that area, but they found that doing that big renovation and addition was actually far less expensive than it would have cost them to move. So
wow,
it was, over $100,000 less expensive to do the renovation than it was to move to a house that would have everything that they wanted. And even then, it wasn't even exactly in the area of the neighborhood that they wanted to be in, because the street they're on is really nice. So it made way more sense for them to do the renovation than it did to actually make the move. So
I love that you're saying, like, everything you're saying matches your core value of do the right thing. It would have been easy to say, take us on, give a check, sign here, give me the money, we'll do it.
Yeah.
But you said, no, go consider. And that's such a great story.
It's better for us too, because we did that renovation for them. They could have easily moved, but they've already referred us to 3 or 4 of their friends, and we're doing work for friends of theirs now because they trust us not to be just looking for the quick sale or anything like that. And I'm sure your real estate agents would understand the same thing. They all understand that the quick wins are great. Sure, they're nice and easy, but if you could turn 1 client into 5, would you like to do that? And that's for sure. And I think that all comes from earning trust and earning that relationship and building that friendship with them over a long period of time, which we did with this couple. I think it was really good.
Yeah. From a renovation builder perspective, it is a win. From the realtor's perspective too, because the one who took them around and now build the trust the same way you did at the end to be like, you know what? Yeah, it is better to renovate. Right. So for this time, and then they're going to refer as well. This agent is going to be a great referral, getting lots of referrals.
I mean, we've referred that agent out since because I think they did such a great job, and they also didn't try to push the sale. And that agent has also referred us to some clients as well. So, wow. Yeah, it's really good.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Very cool. Yeah. All right. So tell us about an ADU success story.
We have a lot of them. We just handed over the keys last week to one that was really near and dear to my heart for this family that they had an apartment in Hamilton. It was an older couple that were in an apartment. They had a great situation. The rent was affordable. Life was good. What they did was they own a business as well where they, I think they're in counseling. And what they did was all summer long, because counseling is largely virtual, they were able to travel in their camper trailer. So they would go and spend all summer long in their trailer, and they want to keep doing that. So they spend all summer in their trailer. And because rent was so affordable at home, they kept the apartment. And so June and July and August, they'd travel from campground to campground in Canada. And in the fall, winter, they would make it their way back home. And life was great. And they said if that never had to change, they would never change it. It was just a great situation. But unfortunately, the landlord decided to make some changes to the property, and he was converting the rentals into something else. And he unfortunately gave them their eviction notices of about 6 months notice to say, you've got to leave the property, it's not affordable. And that's part of the problem, right? When there's tenants for that long and the situation's that good, it's hard for them to move out. So there's no turnover, and then landlords are stuck with a property that may not be as profitable. I'm a landlord as well, so I understand that pain.
Totally, yeah.
So the landlord did have to evict them, unfortunately, but they had lots of time. They had 6 or 7 months before they had to leave the property, and we timed it perfectly for them so that they could actually go on their camping excursion that they did all summer. And when they were done camping, that's why we handed over the keys just last week, because it's no longer camping weather out there. So they got their keys and have moved into their brand new ADU that's in a detached garage on their son's property. So their
Oh,
son owns a
interesting.
house in a rural part of Norfolk County where we are, and he was kind enough to let them have the property, and we did some upgrades to his house as well during the process. So his water and his septic system and his hydro service have been upgraded. So he got a lot of big perks out of that. And mom and dad are paying. They're moving into the ADU, which is a 1 bedroom with loft, brand new. Like it's an existing garage that we had to completely gut, took the siding off, gutted the interiors, did a bunch of foundation repairs to it, serviced it with hydro, electrical, and we had to put a whole new septic system in for the property to care for the second unit. But the whole property has now been upgraded. They're living close to the son who has 2 kids, so they're helping out with the grandkids. And it's also nice because it's kind of like a condo style. They can just lock the door and go camping for a few months. And it's an ADU. It doesn't take a lot of work. There's not a lot going on there. So the son is still taking care of the lawn and gardens, but mom is a big gardener. So she's planting and maintaining the gardens, and she just wants to come home and that they're still maintained.
Yeah.
But the unit's great. I think it was about 450 square feet by the time we were done. Beautiful brand new bathroom, in-unit laundry, brand new custom kitchen, big dining room, big living area, and then a nice big bedroom with closets and a loft. So big, beautiful new windows. And yeah, it's a fantastic space. So we have a case study for that coming through. You guys have done photography and stuff for us, Mode. So
Nice.
all that stuff will come out on our social medias, and we do YouTube and Instagram, Facebook, stuff like that. So it'll all be out there.
Beautiful. I love that. I love how you explain that it's a win-win. The son has a property, has a garage. The parents pay for the upgrade, the ADU being built. He gets also upgrade to his home, so that builds the value of his home. Equity-wise, everything goes up. So, and then they get to still work from the garage when they're here, still enjoy their camper all summer. The privacy is still there. I don't see any negative.
Space was underused, I think, and I don't know for sure, but I think they may be paying some rent to the son, that helps them out as well. So yeah, it's all big W.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Such a great success story.
Thank you. Yeah, we're pretty proud of it.
Yeah, very cool. I guess what else do you have in terms of success story? You said you have a bunch.
Oh, well, we have other ADUs that we've done. If you want to hear more ADU stories, I could talk about these things all day. We do.
All day. Okay, one more.
One more, sure. So, family in Brantford that has an attached garage. So it's a side split house. So the front door is kind of elevated off to the right, and then the second story of the house is off to the left. So the garage is kind of in the bottom left corner of these houses. So most people will be able to picture that style of house. It exists in a lot of places. So the unique situation about this, again, we're a family company, so we're always trying to help out families, right? And I have a really interesting childhood too. So my childhood story plays into the villain arc of all the reasons why we're doing these types of things. So the family was just too big for this house. So there was 3 adult children and the 2 parents. The parents were now getting near their 60s, and the adult children were in their 20s and I think almost 30, or maybe they were 30. And that's a small house for 5 adults. And there's girlfriends and boyfriends and stuff coming in, and there's a lot going on. So, and it was a small house, and it was really starting to feel small for them. And there was a lot of infighting in the family, with the adult children and parents, and things get really difficult when you're kind of climbing all over each other, living with each other. But frankly, like everybody knows, the housing market is difficult for first-time buyers. So these these young adults trying to move out, it's difficult for them to move out. It's difficult to get started, right? So, but one of the kids in particular had a stable job and a girlfriend, but just couldn't find a place that was affordable to live in and that they thought was in an area they wanted to be in. And so we converted this garage into a bachelor style ADU. So there was no separate bedroom. It was just a big bachelor, not big, but like a decent sized 1-car garage conversion into a bachelor. So there was in-unit laundry. There's a full 3-piece bathroom, a full brand new custom kitchen, new windows, its own its own electrical service. The plumbing is shared through the house, so the water meter comes off one water meter, but the electrical bill was split. separate entrance. And now all of a sudden there was, because there was two people living in that, there was a son and her girlfriend and his girlfriend. So they've now moved into this apartment. There's a lot more space in the house now. And the whole thing that he wanted to do, we had a very strict budget we had to follow because he had an idea of what he could get for rent when the son moved out. And he wanted to make sure that this unit cash flowed. So we stuck really tight to this budget, and the unit, when the son decides to move out, which he's hoping is, a short-term, year to 2 years, that they can rent the unit out. It's separate from the whole, it's sound insulation, fire separation from the main house, all the whole thing. There's not even smells transferred through because there's like air exchange units and all this stuff. So the units are completely separate. And the unit, once the son does move out, will cash flow for him right away. He did take a loan to do it, and servicing the loan is less than what he projects his rent will be. So it was a awesome success story. And we had to deal with some extra parking spaces too, because now once we take away a garage, we take away a parking space. So we have to deal with parking spaces on the property, and but we deal with the city on that, get all the right approvals to make sure that it's all legal. And really great unit. So awesome.
I love it. Yeah. I love it because it's also like the planning of the renovation process ends up giving him a long-term plan that is sustainable for him. Right. It's pay for itself.
And I always think too, on the resale side, if they do decide, this house is too big, all the kids have moved out, we want to move to BC, or we want to move somewhere else and just live somewhere else. That house is so much more affordable for the next family that needs it. So if you get a first time, it's a 3-bedroom house, or so I think it was a 3-bedroom house. That house now is a 3-bedroom house, but it also has rental income. So qualifying for a mortgage for a first-time home buyer on that property, the rental income counts towards qualifying for the mortgage to afford that property. So it makes the property more valuable. So it's better for the customers that hired us to do the ADU because their resale value went up. But also the affordability, because of what we talked about earlier, that these units are actually, they cash flow from the date after they're built. So they service a mortgage, and they can help make the property a lot more affordable for the next buyer as soon as they go to buy in. So I think they're all big wins, I think, honestly.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love it. This is so great.
Yeah, it's quite awesome.
Yeah, I know. So you have tons more stories. So before we continue with that, tell us, what is one piece of advice you would leave for realtors when they're talking to homeowners about either renovation, or buying a property to renovate, buying a property to build an ADU? What do you have to say to realtors?
Real estate agents all know that you get what you pay for. That's for sure. And I think that no good advice is free, and that paying for a little bit of professional advice or consultation time is probably money worth spending, and might be something that the real estate agent may be able to help to cover for a potential buyer. So I think the big lesson for me is that always work with professionals, always work with the right person for the job. The cheapest person isn't going to be a very good option over the long term. And I think that you get what you pay for, and make sure that the relationships that you're building are the right relationships.
Yeah, I love it. Realtors always build on relationships. Yeah. That's the only way to survive in real estate, is building on relationships.
I've heard it in almost every one of your podcasts. They all say relationships, and it's true. It's not a dead horse. It's a really important thing to talk about. So.
Yeah. So you can add value to realtors building on the relationship that way, and I think that's a great partnership. I think that's super awesome.
Yeah, I go out for coffees and lunch with realtors all the time. I think they're great partners. They're social people. I'm a social person. They like to talk business, and they like to talk growth. I love that. So let's get together and have a coffee and just sit and chat. So if somebody's interested in the things I've talked about, give me a call. Yeah, I'm interested to sit and chat with you.
Yeah, that's awesome. And before we end today, tell us what is what is coming up for you next in the next, I guess, end of the year, the first quarter of the year. You talk about custom build. What's exciting? What's coming up?
Well, one of the main things that one of our core values is that we grow all the time, right? So that our stakeholders can thrive. So one thing that we've been working on in the background, one of my partners, Paul, has been working on getting us warranty certified through the Home Construction Regulation Authority. So we are going to be getting licensed through that. He's done, I think, 6 of the 7 exams now, and we're basically ready to go with getting the company Tarion certified. So we'll be doing We're able to do new home builds and help people with different investment properties. I'm developing my own properties and building on them right now. So that's a big one that's in the works for us, is starting to move into some home building and some property development stuff. And I think Frontier will be really kind of getting into that as well. So interesting.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it. This is so great. We're going to keep watching for it and see how this is coming up.
Yeah, we're going to do our best. Yeah, we'll just keep following our core values and keep doing what we're doing and do our best for people.
Yeah. Where can our listeners connect with you online? The realtors and the homeowners, how do they get to you and to your company?
I'm everywhere. So you can check out my website, frontierbuildinggroup.com, but I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. I think it's a really good service to connect on LinkedIn. We can keep in touch with people. So if you're a bit introverted and you don't want to maybe reach out right away, LinkedIn's a great way to kind of connect and start getting to know each other that way. But my information's on my website. We're on Facebook and Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I mean, what else are we on, Mode? You know.
Everywhere.
We're everywhere. So if you want to reach out to me, you'll be able to find me, Jonathan Jagt, Frontier Building Group.
Beautiful. Frontier Builder Group, handle on everything.
That's right. Yeah.
Nice. Cool. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for sharing all those stories, all this information you have, and this wealth of value that you bring to your clients. I love it.
Thanks, Bowden. Thanks as always for your help. This has been a lot of fun.
Thanks for tuning in to the Sold Right Away podcast, where driven realtors come to get real strategies, real results, and real actions you can take on to win more listings, leads, and close more deals. If today's episode helped you think differently or gave you a fresh perspective, do us a favor. Subscribe, leave a review, and share it with other realtors who would love to hear it. And realtors, what's your biggest marketing challenge right now? End of the year, new year coming up, reach out, drop a DM, or book a 15-minute strategy call with me at soldrightaway.com. We're here to help you get more out of real estate. Until next time, keep closing and keep winning.